Get your ass up. And take
My
care of
wife
things.
is very detail, organized, oriented, and I'm the 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. guy for the
Mrs.
feeding.
Smith is very much so like that. So look, instead of, I don't know how folks are reacting to this potential, we've got an actual largest lender saying that prices are going to reduce, by 1.5%. They're talking about inventory, which is what we've been talking about for a while. They're projecting somewhere between 23-25%. So it's going to be north of 20% of number of units sold less. But this is the first time we said, yeah, we're also going to see lower prices too, right? Everything else inventory was down a little bit, prices are going to climb a little bit.
That was to be expected.
But
Don't you think?
Yeah. But I wanted to put it a little bit in perspective.
Okay.
If Lake Monticello, single family detached, right? If you would have bought a home in 2017, right, would have cost you median sales price $195. It is now selling for $317. That's a $141,000 delta. So if you have an appreciation of $141,000, and that does not include your, how much you pay down your mortgage and so forth and so on. Oh, and if you bought it last year, you got a $47,000 appreciation. 2020, 82, 1993, 18, 103. If you bought 11 years ago at Lake Monticello, that single family detached home cost you $176,000 and is now worth $317.
That's pretty good return on investment.
So
That's your point.
So if $317 drops 1.5 point and you bought 11 years ago,
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, your point is, if you hold, you're going to do well. That's your point, right?
And it's interesting. I was reading some back of the system notes and some organizations I'm part of. I think you're going to see in the beginning of the year officially folks saying they're going to be staying in their homes longer than 10 years. I think you're going to see 10 to 12 years is going to be the conversation going on. I know it is when we have conversations with our young buyers in it, like, hey, look, I'm going to be in here for 10 years. So the point is if I would have bought in 12 and I sold today, I didn't do the math, but the difference between 176 and 317 is substantial, right? It's a couple $100,000 if I got the math right quickly in my head. So 1%, 1.5%, 2%. Now, if I bought at 317 in 2022, I'm going to have to be in this house for 5 years, and it'll appreciate 3 to 5% year over year. It's.
Look, here's the point he's making, and it's a very good point that he's making. If you are going to buy a house, even in today's market with today's interest rates, and today's interest rates for anyone that's watching the program are a very difficult pill to swallow, okay? You're likely locking in a rate that's 7% or more. It's a difficult pill to swallow. But if you hold on to the house and you pay your mortgage and you pay a little bit on top of your mortgage each month, you're going to have a piece of property that's going to appreciate over time, because Charlottesville and Central Virginia are coveted places to live. We have the University of Virginia that undoubtedly is insulating us from national trends. Hold the house. Now, if you buy a house today and you have to sell the house next year or even 2 years from now, you're going to be in a tough spot.
Yeah, but
that's not everybody.
No.
It's very few people.
Correct. Under normal circumstances.
They hold 10 years.
The point I'm trying to make is, to have, if I would have bought in 2021 and I've got to sell now, to have a $47,000 appreciation is not normal.
Right.
Right. If you hold on to if you buy a home and you've got to sell it in 1 or 2 years, the best case scenario is you cover your closing costs, which is going to be about 6 to 10%, depending on commissions and so forth and so on, somewhere in that range. You will basically break even and move on. If it's just the normal appreciation isn't double digits. It's single digits. But to put it in perspective, if I would have bought in this example of 2012, the highest mortgage rate 2012, so I'm looking at Freddie Mac's since 1971, 30-year fixed rate month by month. In 2012 was 395, roughly, call it 4% mortgage at that point. If you would have bought in 17, your highest was It's about 4.25, 4.5, somewhere in that line. There was a couple of months that it flirted with that. So look, we will be in a recession. You know, we're in a recession. I mean, gas at Lake is over 360, right?
And it's not going down.
Yeah.
I saw 369 coming down Pantops from Keswick.
Yeah.
It was before OPEC made that barrel reduction.
315.
Yeah, 317 is what I was passing.
Yeah. So
So it's gone up 50 plus cents.
Yeah.
And since that OPEC reduction.
and it will be over 4 very shortly.
And everyone on this set said that was going to happen.
Yep. So
In fact, when you came in that morning, you're like, this is a really big deal.
this is a huge deal.
Because
we at the time we didn't know it was 2 million. We were thinking it was 1
it's
million.
1 million a day, and it was 2.
And it jumped it up to 2, which I believe, and Neil will correct me, I believe that's 20% of their output.
I mean, that's a tremendous amount. And it made you nostalgic of,
Waiting online in the 70s.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. Are you seeing what's happening in France, in London, and Paris?
Yeah, I mean, but their gas is always much more expensive because the taxes on it are pretty high. But you look at Jonas 2 weeks in Europe, right? We're going to find firsthand in 2 weeks from now what it's really like on the ground. We hear conversations from family and all that stuff, but it's on the ground. The saving grace at the moment for us anyway
Is the dollar strength.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a double-edged sword, right? It's like 80, 90 cents to €1. But the inflation is so high, it's just expensive as all heck.
Kevin thinks it's greed. The gas stations. They said they didn't get any new gas either.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm not going to argue that one way or the other. I've never really understood how the hell gas prices work. I know it's a commodity, right? I'm not an expert on it. Don't even play one on
He didn't say it at Holiday Inn Express.
And I did not stay in the Holiday Inn Express last night.
What's up, MJ Arquette, the queen of marketing?
Yeah, so it's going to climb. It's going to impact everything. Inflation's going to go up. I think the unemployment numbers are the ones that we need to keep an eye on. But we're going to keep an eye on that. That 1.5% is a national number, right? We all know micro markets are different.
Yeah, this market is different. So we led this, for those tuning in and watching now, Inman, which is a real estate media insiders publication. The folks that are reading Inman are insiders, right?
Yep.
Looking for edge in the real estate ecosystem. And today, was it today or yesterday? Yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday, Inman released an analysis that said nationally, homes valuation will reduce 1.5%. This is the first we've seen of that.
It's the first I've seen that the Freddie Mac, the federal end of things, which is the largest lender for that matter, projecting a reduction of sales volume or sales price. They've been talking sales volume forever, right? We've been talking about it, 20%, 30%. But what they're talking about is the value of a home is going to be about 1.5% off. It's nationwide, right? We have to take a look at the micro locations or there's always matters. The hyper micro locations always matter. The significance of it is the first time that a national said, look, we think this is going to go down.
Right.
And this is what we think it's going to go down on that.
We're not doom and gloom. We're not trying to talk you off the ledge.
No, just the fact.
Yeah, just the facts. Joe Friday, you want to say it?
No, you go ahead and say it.
The facts, ma'am.
Just the
facts. The facts, ma'am. Just the facts. But the reality is, guys, and it's important to hear this, we got UVA here. And I know a lot of folks want to hate on UVA, but anytime you do that, realize that your home values are being protected because of the University of Virginia. And realize that this economic ecosystem we're in is being protected by UVA. Yeah. And if we didn't have UVA, what would we be? We'd be what?
Well,
Martinsville?
Well,
what would we be?
Here's a different way of asking the question. If it wasn't here, would you be here?
No.
I wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be here.
Judah, would you be here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
What would we be if it wasn't UVA?
Yeah.
What city? Can you even think of one? Viewers and listeners,
That's a great question.
Kevin Yancey, that's a question for you. You're good at this.
Because you can't even like put Waynesboro in that box because it has medical, Augusta Medical. It had big industry.
Oh yeah,
So
I don't think it's Waynesboro.
if we didn't have UVA and no industry to replace it, I wouldn't know what. I couldn't compare it.
What
to
would it be, Kevin
Farmville.
Yancey?
I couldn't even be Farmville.
Neil Williamson, he says Lynchburg.
Neil?
Yeah,
But Lynchburg's got Liberty University.
that's what I'm saying.
in it.
Lynchburg's
So-
got Liberty.
Yeah, I don't know if I would compare that. In the state of Virginia, maybe it'd be the Southwest Virginia.
That's what I'm saying. We'd be Martinsville.
But Martinsville's got some pretty heavy industry
We'd
in
be
it.
Bristol.
Bristol's got
Okay,
racetracks.
here's what we would be. Travis Hackworth, and I mean this in a very complimentary way to you. We would be Danville. And Danville,
Okay,
right?
yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Danville right now is the comeback city, and they're doing amazing things to revitalize the economy. Designated outdoor refreshment area, Dora, Lloyd Snook, City Council.
I mean, every time you say that, I think of Dora the Explorer. I don't know why. Dora the Explorer pops in.
But Danville, we'd be Danville. Outdoors, fantastic, right?
Yep.
You know, you got a what else is going on?
No,
They got
me? I'm reading an article for Inman. I don't know. You're talking about Dora the
Danville
Explorer.
does have a casino coming.
Yeah. But they pivoted, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a hard analogy, right? Because even if UVA isn't here, we're on this corridor, right? So
Where you're saying the quarter of Central Virginia?
Yeah. So we're on the Richmond, D.C. kind of corridor on that end of it. But it's here, right? The reality, it's here. So look, I've finally got the article pulled up. So
And Neil wants to give you some knowledge.
sure.
Justin Keller, welcome to the program as well. Neil Williamson, president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Neil Williamson, he says this, and Neil Williamson, this is also for Kevin Yancey. Gas stations must pay to refill their tanks at current rates, thus price increases. Most stations make very little profit on fuel. He's right.
Well, so I can firsthand tell you that one of my uncles used to own gas stations, and this was back in the 70s and the 80s, and it was fractions at that time. It's fractions of a cent on a gallon. He made his money off of his mechanics, right?
Well, you take like a Tiger Fuel.
Yeah, they make
take
money
Bel
off of
Air,
their sandwiches.
The sandwiches, the deli, the convenience store, where the margin's 100%
Yeah,
plus.
I've had this discussion with the Suttons, and they do not.
Dan and Taylor.
They do not make money off of their fuel, and they're not going to make money off of their EV charging either, right? It's just they make money.
It's a way to capture a consumer to sell them auxiliary goods.
Sure.
Auxiliary goods. I have a hard time with that one.
Other stuff.
Other stuff. Thank
Other
you.
stuff.
Other stuff.
Other stuff.
Rock.
Paper.
Fire. Scissors.
So national home prices projected to fall. This is according to Inman and according to Fannie Mae. So I'm looking at a graph chart here where they're projecting fourth quarter to still be about 9% up, second quarter about 3.3%, and then first quarter of 23. Second quarter in 23, they're looking at a negative 0.3, third quarter negative 0.4, and fourth quarter next year negative 0.5. Again, my point is, if I bought in 2017 at Lake Monticello and sold today or sold next year, I'm still making $140,000, $130,000 net. Well, actually, it's not even net because you got to calculate your mortgage difference and all that stuff. But your appreciation was over $130,000, $140,000. You buy today, you're going to have to hold for that 5-10 year window. And these charts go up and down.
Neil Williamson's got a really good comment.
Cool.
When the city
Should
forefathers...
have invited him today.
Love Neil Williamson. Love you too, Sean Tubbs. Neil Williamson, when the city forefathers moved Interstate 64 to Charlottesville, the Seville MSA Economic Vitality was engaged.
Yeah, so MSA, for those who did not know, is the Metropolitan Statistical Area, right? So for us, it's Charlottesville, Albemarle, Fluvanna, Nelson, Greene, and Louisa. I think I got them all right. Neil will correct me. So that's what we call the MSA. So when people say and that's what builds around AMI, area medium income, right? So if you take a look at Fluvanna County and it's $100 and something thousand, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, people in Fluvanna County go, well, hold it, that's pretty high for Fluvanna County.
Yeah.
But this is the MSA, so this is the whole region that takes into consideration into that.
I mean, that's a great comment.
Yep.
I mean, so he's saying there's other aspects to the area that are driving economic vitality. We understand UVA is number one. And there are. I mean, we got tech, we got vineyards, we got wineries. We're the second largest wedding capital on the East Coast. If you want a great spot for a rehearsal dinner, Well Hung Vineyard, the restaurant in Gordonsville.
Wait, do they got to pay us some money or something?
He's asking for donations to Free Enterprise Forum. Which we gladly do.
Are we getting a percentage of the deal?
We gladly do. There's a lot of other stuff.
So just to put in just some quick math, just round numbers. You know, that 317 is going to drop maybe $5,000, right? If their projection is right, this time next year. And so instead of making 141, I'm going to make 135.
So what point are you worried about then? What part of the market are you worried about? Are you worried about any aspect of the market? Any sliver of price point are you worried about? Are you worried about Are you worried about jumbo?
Yeah, we can look into it real quickly, but it's already happened. The quote unquote luxury market has slowed down. The entry level is slowing down. It's just because it's harder to get a mortgage, right?
Right.
On the end of it. But again, like I said, I've got a whole weekend packed of showings. Some of that might be with Mrs. Smith being gone, and I'm getting you do this kind of stuff. But that may
stay on task.
That
Keith.
may or may not be happening. But the millennials are doing it, and I was like, so tell me, how do you feel about 7-8%? I'm good. I'm going to refinance it. They get it. They understand it. Right? You know, they understand getting in the game is more important than sitting on the sidelines, and they're also getting the inventory is picking up, right? But look, a couple of the buyers, you know, we had, even in Nelson County, we had some deals that were on the market for 4 or 5 days, couldn't get to see them fast enough, they went under contract. So, you know, homes are moving, people are buying and selling, the volume of the buy and the sell will decrease a little bit, which means folks in my industry, you know, we need to up our skills a little bit, up our ability to perform on the end of it, but we'll be out there helping people. We had a business planning meeting with our folks at YRP this Tuesday. And I mean this, and I've said it on the show before, I'm personally excited about the real estate market coming up.
Someone of your experience, this is where you say,
yeah, it's not about me, right? Truly, it's not about me. I'm excited about it because this is when the cream of the crop shows up.
That's what I'm saying.
And you can go ahead.
Yeah.
But it's just not me. There's many others that can do that.
But in uncertain, volatile markets, people like you that have experience and have seen a ton of different markets are going to get market share.
Yeah, it's just...
Folks that have never been through this before are going to lose market share.
I've been there, done that. I got a bunch of T-shirts and scars from it.
Right.
And so we try to help navigate folks through whatever minefields that are in front of us at this point, which change constantly.
Right.
On that end of it. And the key to do that. And the other thing, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, why do you do the show 3 times a week? It makes me better at helping people, you know, buy and sell homes because...
And your face is everywhere.
Well, it just makes me better,
okay.
Right? Because I have to crunch all these numbers. I've got to understand this kind of, you know, where we're at so we can help counsel people. When somebody says, oh my God, I just saw an article in Inman or wherever it ends up that price is going to go down at 1.5%, should I buy now? And what's the answer to that?
Yes. Yeah. The answer to that is get in the game. You taught us that.
Yeah, you got to get in the game, and the thing is, look, don't buy now if you want to. If you have to sell within 12 to 24 months,
don't do that.
Don't do that. That's a bad move. That's a bad move. You know, you're going to have to rent. It's the same thing. We counseled our daughter and son-in-law out in Seattle 2 years ago. They were like, "Well, we want to buy now." I said, "No, you know what? You know, let's get through the next 2 years. Let's figure out where you're going, figure out where your where is." And then we can kind of get into that. It's going to.
Well, you broke some news on the show. They're heading to Richmond.
They are heading to Richmond. Yeah. No, but this was 2 years ago. They wanted to buy in They wanted to buy in Seattle. right? And I said, you know, I think you just stay where you're at, comfortable, raise some money.
What do you make of the Richmond market?
Man, very different. Richmond is a very different market, and the way to put a perspective on that, as the current chair of the land trust, the second largest land trust in the state of Virginia is Maggie Walker out of Richmond.
Right. They're swimming in inventory.
Well, they're swimming in vacant.
Yeah, that they can rehab and repurpose.
That's exactly right. And some of them, these are in the thousands.
I listen to you.
These are in that. Thank you. These are in doubt. When you start reciting my dad jokes,
I know.
Then we got a problem.
We spent a lot of time together.
So look, they got thousands of units available that folks are vacant. They haven't paid the taxes in 5 years. The local government doesn't say, here, land trusts have it. We don't have that. That just doesn't exist here on that end of it. So it's a very different market. As we've always talk about this, and even in our market, you know, one block or 2 blocks one way or the other can matter, right? This is where we're going now.
Your daughter is a millennial or a zillennial?
She is. This is not fair. I can't
This is
remember
your
how
daughter.
old she is.
This is your daughter
I
here.
can't remember how old she is.
Is she a millennial?
I think
Do you
she's
need to
29. I think she's 29.
Can you put the infographic up for
think
the generations? Judah's going to put the generational.
I think
infographic.
she's 29.
Okay.
But
29.
could be. I don't know.
She's 29. What does that make her, Judah, if she's 29?
What we were making reference to? Who wants to be a millionaire?
That would mean she was born in 92, 93.
So it's
93.
94. I knew she was 94. So
She was born in 94?
she's born in 94. Could be. Maybe.
Well, that means she's 28.
Okay, she's 28. I don't know. She's 28, 29.
That's the tail end of millennials.
She's a young millennial. So she's essentially like, is she a zillennial? The millennial-zillennial
Just
crossover?
lucky I got the name right.
Is she a zillennial?
She's a millennial. She's a young millennial, right? Or middle.
She's at the end of the millennial scale,
Got it.
just before Generation Z started.
Okay, so where does the young millennial want to live in Richmond?
It's interesting. So they're looking. They want to reproduce Seattle in Richmond, which is going to be difficult, right? They want to be able to walk from their rental to a dozen restaurants, dozen coffee shops.
You can do that in Richmond.
Correct. But there you can walk for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, and it's all the same. In Richmond, it will make a difference. If you couple blocks one way or the other, the neighborhood could be what they want, and maybe could not be what they want. But that's what we're looking for, and they want the classic white picket fence, little yard.
Sounds like West End.
Well, I think we're going to end up looking at like one of the. I like the Museum District personally.
That one's good. Museum District is awesome.
Yeah, and there's some really nice townhomes with little neat little backyards. The classic, 1800s construction townhomes in there with some nice backyards, nice walking to everything, mass transit. But that's kind of where they're leaning at.
Would you say this? Let me ask you this question. I had this conversation yesterday. A friend of mine, good friend, Judah was here, owns a townhome with their partner. Got years of equity, not tremendous years, but some years of equity into that townhome. What's your advice to that particular young couple to do with their townhome?
How long have they owned it?
Enough where the equity is substantial because they made the purchase pre-pandemic.
So 18, 19, something like that?
Yeah. We're talking about substantial equity because of the craziness that was the pandemic.
Yeah, so we're back.
And then a price point from a rental that could cover the monthly nut and then some.
I would start asking questions about where they're at, right? What their jobs are.
Both employed.
I got it, but are they, at university, they're self-employed, different.
One of them.
Got it. One of them self-employed, one's not. Yeah, so part of the conversation would start out is, so what's your goals and visions? Let's not talk about property. What's your goals? Right? And if they start talking about, hey, we have enough money to buy new, I don't have to sell, then my advice would be to probably keep that as a rental if their debt to income ratio, that's why this income conversation is so important, right? So if their debt to income conversation, I'm having this exact conversation with my uncle, has a townhome in Old Trail, right?
Your uncle?
My uncle, he's getting remarried, and we're talking about this very conversation.
Pop's brother?
No, my mother.
Okay.
I have an uncle that's 5 years older than me.
Okay. Wow. That's a young man.
Yeah, we hung out together. So in any event, so we're having this conversation. I'm getting life change, right? Getting married, right? He's in a townhome, which is great for a single guy, but this is not going to be for a marriage. He wants to stay in Old Trail, right? Yada, yada, yada. What do I do? Do I, because he's got the ability, and let's assume this millennial has the ability, the cash ability to hold on to both, right? And as their debt to income works, that they can finance the new purchase. My advice would be to hang on to it and rent it. I will tell you, years ago, it would not have been, right? But now, if you can do that, and I would, same advice I gave my uncle, if this is what you want to do, call Ally Property Management. Do not manage it yourself. Let it be on automatic. Let the equity build a little bit, because they bought it just like this townhome, I'm assuming, and have a ton of equity. That's what I do. On the other hand, they're making a substantial jump, right? They're going from a $300,000 townhome to a $900,000 purchase. You probably want the cash out and help reduce the purchase price, right? The loan amount on the purchase. So a lot of the details matter.
Here's the question. This is the tough pill for people to swallow. You bought a house, a townhome, a condo before the pandemic.
And you now have substantial equity.
Substantial equity. You have substantial equity. We're talking tens of thousands, if not six figures more of equity, Keith. The fear for a lot of folks is utilizing that equity to make a second purchase. Knowing that you could have a rental, a tenant, undoubtedly from day one, cover your monthly nut on your current property.
So I had a
A
similar...
lot of people have a tough part with that.
I had a similar conversation. I'll leave the name out of it because it's an elected official that owns multiple rental properties. And he called me up last night, was asking exactly the same question. What should I do? Should I sell them? Should I continue to rent them? And my first question was, are you managing yourself? And he goes, yes. I said, well, stop that right away, because that's just nuts. And that's the conversation. The conversation is people aren't paying me, I'm dealing with problems and all that stuff. Hire Ally Property Management, let them manage it, just let them do their job, and they'll do the magic on it. I also had to have the conversation about the 1031 and conversation with him about what is he going to do if he's going to sell all this stuff out that he owns mostly in cash. The question is so the fear of holding on to it is what? Is the fear of holding on to it depreciation? It loses value? Is the fear of holding on to it as a rental? I don't want to deal with the people, tenants, right? So what's the fear? What is your concern about that? And look, take Lake Monticello as an example. We'll talk about things. If I bought in 2017 and I sell, and my property is now, I got $141,000 worth of equity built into it, and I want to buy something, and I've got the debt to income ability to do it, then hang on to it as a rental.
That's what
The trick is, you've got to know when to sell, right? What is this? You got to know when to fold them.
Is that Kenny Rogers?
Kenny Rogers. Should we not sing that
No,
song?
you should sing it. I'd
No,
love to hear you sing.
Totally not going to sing.
Know when to hold them.
No, and when to fold them. But anyway, so that's the
Know
trick.
when to fold them.
So we, at one time, Yona and I, prior to the time of great unpleasantness, had about 14 rentals. And we got rid of them. And it wasn't because of any great foreseeing of a market change. It was, we just had a string of, I managed them myself, which was a huge disaster. And we had a string of tenants not paying us. I said, you know what, this is ridiculous. The market is good. Let's sell them. We sold them, and we turned around and put the money into business and, other things, which the bank ended up getting in 2000.
Good. That was bad luck, not your fault. Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy watching the program, she says it's Albemarle County. We live in Albemarle County. Unless you desperately need the cash, keep your real estate.
Yeah, so...
Amen.
Yeah.
She says, my little Solomon Court condo has increased 2.5x in value. I will never sell. I rent it for $1,800 a month and rent a room 0.3 miles away from my office, paying less than half what I can rent my condo for. Wow.
So I'm looking through this article again because there was another a portion of it that we're talking about nationwide. Look, you want to keep a track on your rental. Again, this is why you want to hire somebody that's a trusted advisor to manage your rental for you on that end of it, because they're going to keep track of what's going on, because that's the one communication that I do on a regular basis with Suzanne, with Ally Property. You know, house rents looking, house percentages looking. But the rents are going to be climbing single digits. I don't think you're going to see too many double digits. They're coming down a little bit on that end of it. But the rent is going to climb up. And if that works for you and it's part of your plan, that's great. On the other hand, I might need that cash to buy something else, right? And if that's the case, then that's what it's there for, right? You built up your equity, you built up your wealth for what it's worth, and then you turn around and buy something new.
What do you think of Gwendolyn Gail Cassidy? I love your strategy.
Where in the world is she right now?
Are you in Italy? GGC, the queen of travel, Gwendolyn Gail
I think
Cassidy.
she's in Italy.
I think she's in Italy.
Italy.
She says she lives in Albemarle County.
Yep.
She's got a condo in Solomon Court.
Yep.
The condo at Solomon Court rents for $1,800 a month.
How many rooms?
She's in Italy in Catalica.
Catalina?
There's a C in there. Is it Catalina or Catalica? I'm not. One of the things that viewers and listeners who watch this program, I may know a boatload about Charlottesville and Central Virginia, but I don't know a boatload about the rest of the world. I am not what you would call very cosmopolitan. Much to the chagrin.
I don't think, Judah, what is the definition of cosmopolitan? That's not cosmopolitan. That would be a world traveler. Yon and I were.
Isn't cosmopolitan a world traveler?
Oh, I thought we were talking about drinks.
Oh, you thought that was a cocktail?
Well, I know it's a cocktail.
Oh, I know it's a cocktail. Cosmopolitan is someone who's got a world's perspective.
But you have a world. I disagree with you. You have a world's perspective. That doesn't mean you have to travel the world to have a world's perspective.
Yeah, I know a lot about
without doubt.
News in the world because I read.
Yeah, okay.
But I haven't traveled very much.
I think that makes you cosmopolitan.
Just means from all over the world, different countries.
Pardon?
Just cosmopolitan means including people from all over the world.
Are you on a 3-shot? Are people seeing you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
we have to see you when you talk. That's how the shows go. Or if not, you're just the voice of God from afar, and people are like, "Who is that person?" Gwendolyn Gail Cassidy.
Now call him God now?
If he doesn't show his face, people are like, I've literally been told this by the viewers and listeners. When he talks and we don't see him, we wonder who that is.
It's God.
Yeah, I'm saying it's the omniscient voice of God, and they're like, we know it's Judah. Gwendolyn Gail Cassidy says Catolica. She spelled it out phonetically for us. She says
that's southern Italy.
Is that southern Italy?
If I remember correctly, that would be southern Italy.
Oh, Judah's going to call it up.
I believe. I may be wrong, but I believe that's southern Italy somewhere. Maybe I got that wrong.
This is a great house hack that she did. She's a smart lady. She's a smart lady. She's got a little Solomon Court condo. It's increased 2.5x in value. She says she'll never sell it. It currently rents for $1,800 a month. And then she doesn't live in the place she owns. She rents a room 0.3 miles from her office, and she pays less than half what she could rent her condo for. She rents her Solomon Court 2-bedroom condo through Furnish Finders to traveling nurses. Most renew their contracts, and you never have to do anything.
Yeah.
Did
she say 2-bedroom?
2-bedroom. And she said, seriously, Furnish Finders is the best and kicks Airbnb's arse. And it is southern.
And you know why the workaround?
Southern on the coast.
Got it. Southern on the coast. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, it's not. So is it south of Rome or north of Rome? Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that somewhere between Naples and Sicily, if I remember correctly. But we will not go down that world traveler road. Yeah. So
Furnish Finders also vets the tenants.
Yeah. So, and the interesting about that because they're normally 6-month rentals, so they're not short-term rentals. They're normal rentals. Yeah. So in her case, it's super smart, right?
Opposite side of Rome, south of
Oh,
Southeast coast, south of Rimini.
yeah. So, my family's from Batty, which is on that coast that she's talking about, a little further south, I think, than where she is at the moment. But in any event, yeah, so great. So what this wonderful human being is doing is she's building equity, renting it out. She's probably positive cash flowing the heck out of it, if I remember the math right, on that end of it. And she's doing, but that's it's kind of, you and I were having a pre-production conversation about, this case study thing. That is a very unique circumstance.
I mean, that's a house hack.
It's a house hack, but you've got to really fit a very specific set of criteria.
Well, she has the
She travels the
nimble.
world.
That's right.
She
Travels.
travels
She's
the world.
single.
She's single.
Yeah.
Just an awesome human being.
No
Love her.
kids. That helps. Yeah.
Love her to death, but she's very specific. You and your family probably couldn't do that.
No, if I
right?
did that, my wife would be like,
You would be single.
I
You
I
would be
wouldn't be
single.
here right now.
You would
Yeah.
be single.
Right. She would,
But yeah, in a general big term concept on it, if she went ahead and owned this unit and she lived in it, or she's traveling the world and subletting it out, or whatever she's doing,
she says it's cheaper for her to live overseas.
yeah, and she's just got a great life, right?
Yeah.
She's traveling the world, doing all kinds of great stuff.
Living the dream.
It's freaking awesome stuff. It's stuff that Keith and Yona want to do, when another 5 or 10 years from now, on that end of it. But back to the analysis that if I bought at Lake Monticello, because this is what I got the numbers for, in 2017, and it's at worth 195, and today's 317, and you've got the cash to go ahead and hold on to that, it'll appreciate up. I mean, in 11 years, it went from 176 to 317. Now, there's, just so that we're transparent about this, median sales price, Lake Monticello in 12 is 176. 13, it dropped to 149. Then it raised back up in 14 to 194. Then in 2015, it dropped to 180. 16, 187. Then it just started climbing steadily from 15 to 22. 180, 187, 195, 214, 224, 235, 270, and 317. But 2012 and 15 was still the tail end of the time of great unpleasantness. And prices were going up and down, right? And all that end of it.
I never told you this. In 2000, when did I buy that thing? Let's see here.
I find it hard to believe
16.
with almost 4 years.
That I haven't told you something?
Well, you just recently found out I'm a lefty, but
Yeah.
we'll leave that one
Well, I
alone.
mean, there's some things we don't know about each other.
Trust me, there's some things we don't want to know about each other.
Right. I never told you this. In 2000, goodness gracious, when was that? So 7, 14, 16 minus 22. 2007, when I bought the condo at the Villas at Southern Ridge, now a rental, it was between that 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo and a home in Lake Monticello.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
And I think you made a good choice.
I mean, maybe. I mean, the homes in Lake Monticello, you just told me, are appreciated at a much greater clip than the condo at the Villas at Southern Ridge.
Yeah,
Would
but
have been more potentially difficult for me to manage when I was managing it myself, because
Yeah.
before I didn't have Allied Property Management managing it, I was doing it solo,
Yeah.
which made it challenging.
and the rents at Lake Monticello were historically, and they're accelerating like everybody else, but historically they were very stable. So the potential of having rents increase on
What's
that,
a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at the lake rent for?
I'd have to.
I mean,
look.
this guy's the mayor of the lake over here.
No, I'm
Brittany Gray watching. She says she's a
Brittany will know.
She says she's
Brittany
a
will
lefty too, Keith. Brittany, what are the rents for a 3-bedroom,
That's because
2-bath?
Brittany is awesome.
Brittany is awesome.
Left-handed are geniuses. By the way, Brittany, she shared something on Facebook about her personal life, which was a pretty awesome thing to do. I do this regularly on how much we lost and recovered from. And if you have an opportunity, friend Brittany, read her story. It's pretty inspiring on how you kind of go from one place to where she is now. So it's pretty awesome.
I also found it inspiring, Brittany.
very inspiring.
Very inspiring. Gwendolyn says lefties are supposed to be very, very intelligent. Says you, Keith, very, very much fit that mold.
Well, thank you for lying to me. I sure do appreciate that.
So a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at the lake is $1,600.
Yeah.
So the Villas at Southern Ridge condos, I mean, I'm doing it at like 17 and change. And market's probably like 18 and change.
Yeah.
I rent a little below market to maintain
Your-
occupancy.
Your cash flow would be, that's the point I was making. Your cash flow would be a little better there than like Montecito.
Why? Is you think
Now, if you're
strictly
val-
because of the location?
Yeah, it's always
The proximity to epicenter of employment?
Yeah. So you're driving 20 minutes more than somebody who's at Southern Ridge going to UVA, right? That's a 10-minute drive. If I'm working at the hospital from the Villas at Southern Ridge,
The Villas at Southern Ridge is like 8 minutes to the hospital.
Yeah, I
you
mean-
go Old Lynchburg, JPA.
matter of fact, I know that because it's one of my bike rides.
It's a great bike ride.
You can bike ride right there.
Exactly.
Real easy.
Right.
Real easy.
Would you take Old
No, we don't
Lynchburg
wanna
to
talk-
JP?
If Yona's watching, I do not want to have this conversation.
Why? Because you went Fifth Street Extended?
I may have gone a road that I told her that I wouldn't go on.
Well, Fifth Street Extended, I'm worried about you now. That's a dangerous road for biking.
Yeah, so I go
But you can backdoor it through Cherry,
So my 25-mile bike ride
JPA.
from my office is I shoot up Avon, cut around Fifth Street, go through that that intersection onto Fifth Street. Then I go all the way down to Dudley Mountain Road and loop all the way around and come back down on 250.
That's a good ride.
It's about 25. Yeah, it's a little steep. It's about 2,200, 2,400 foot elevation gain.
You're getting a lot of props from the viewers and listeners.
Am I really?
Yeah. Not only are they saying you're very, very intelligent because you're a lefty,
Yeah.
but they're saying ADD and ADHD people are also very, very intelligent.
I've been saying that for freaking years, and nobody. Thank you. Yeah.
So not only are you a lefty, but your ADHD is one of the most ADHD people I've ever met. So you're a genius. That's what they're saying is you're a genius.
I'm a freaking genius.
You're a genius.
Is that, are they really mean
That's
that?
that's what they're saying.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's nice. Yeah, it's. I think if a quick Google search, you'll find out. I'm not sure if Einstein was a lefty, but he definitely had ADD. I call it ADD, but yeah, it's interesting, and I have to admit publicly, the older I'm getting, the worse it's getting. to be
Wait.
honest with you. It is.
How do you know?
I know.
Were people telling you, or you're experiencing it firsthand?
Well, unfortunately, I have a lot of, not fortunately.
What's up,
Not
Brian
unfortunately.
Combs? We love you, Brian Combs.
Fortunately, I have a lot of very honest people in my life, to include you.
Yeah.
And they'll make, okay, Smith, get back here and do that. But it's true, right? Because you can, for those who don't have it, right, you intensely focus on an item, and then it goes. It just vanishes, and then you go on to something else. So people who are watching the show, I don't know if they can see all the papers in front of me on it.
Can you somehow show that? I think Oh, he's moving the camera. Are you moving the camera down?
No, I'm showing the,
A wider shot? Oh, the studio camera.
Yeah. So if anybody who's watching it can see this, and I've got.
Look at Jerry's papers in front of him.
Yeah, Jerry's got no papers. I've got a phone that I can do math on. I've got paper. I've got something in front of me.
He's got 4 different writing utensils.
I have with different colors.
The blue
too.
pen is behind you. The computer. The Surface.
Oh, good. I was getting nervous. I couldn't find it. Oh, and then on top of ADD, I got a little bit of what is it?
Oh, OCD.
OCD.
You are OCD.
I got a
I've seen
little
those
bit of-
tendencies.
I got a little bit of OCD, but folks that have this intensify this. But I've learned, and this show taught me this, by the way. It is doing this show has made me manage my ADD much better, and I learned the trick.
good to hear.
I'll write a word down, or even if you look at my notes, I draw pictures. You've seen them. You've seen them. I draw pictures, and then I'll look at the picture, and then it'll just pop back in my head.
God.
I'm sorry, guys. That's just the way the brain operates.
Daniel Pettit, thank you very much. We'll get to your comments here. DP Mustache Dan Pettit. Brittany Gray has such a great compliment for you. She says, I can talk with Keith Smith. I can speak with Keith Smith for 5 minutes, and I literally never leave empty-handed in knowledge.
Oh, wow.
You're loving today's show.
No, it's, you know.
Barack Obama, James Garfield, Herbert Hoover, Harry Truman, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, all left-handers. Let's add Keith Smith to the list.
Well, thank you. I am Catholic, so I don't take praise all that well. But thank you. Look, you know, it's it's something that I've always tried to do. I'm always been comfortable in my Keith suit. What am I wearing today? Banana Republic.
Oh,
Banana
swanky!
Republic's,
Whoa.
suit on that, and it is what it is. And you know, don't ask me a question if you don't want to know my opinion, right? What is it?
Well, even if they don't ask you a question, you still give them your opinion.
Yeah, well, that's being a New Yorker. Then I'm a New Yorker, right?
No, I think it's don't ask a question if you don't want my opinion. No, there really is. If you're in 5 feet of me, I will give you my opinion.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
No, I like your opinion. It certainly makes for a great talk show.
Well, correct, yeah. So, hey, I got something in front of me, and thank you for the compliments. It's
More of them are coming. You want to hear them?
No, I'm embarrassed, so no, thank you, but...
Dan Pettit's got some stuff. Dan Pettit knows Lake Monticello.
Yeah.
Does he not?
First of all, I know Dan isn't giving me a
No,
compliment.
Daniel Pettit's not giving me. Daniel Pettit likes to give you zingers.
Right, so when Dan stops doing that, then I know I'm in trouble.
DP, Mustache Dan Pettit, front of the program. He's got a fantastic forehand, one of the best tennis strokes I have seen. Beautiful wife, excellent salesman. Love Dan Pettit. Dan Pettit, we got a tennis tournament coming up that we might run into each other at the Boar's Head here. He says this. First, he likes my jacket.
The jacket does look good.
Thank you. He also says, keep in mind at Lake Monticello, owner pays twice
Yes.
for HOA fees with a
Yes.
rental. What's
Yes.
that mean?
Yeah, so, wow. So the backstory to that is,
So, okay, I'm learning here.
yeah, so the backstory to that is, we've had this discussion once before. Each HOA is very different, right? It has, because they get to set their own rules and regulations and so forth and so on. Lake Monticello was created in 1968, not 1868, 1968. And its covenants and restrictions at the time said any rate increase requires 2/3 vote. So it's, or majority, a simple majority vote on that end of it. So in order to increase dues, there's a vote that has to happen. And we got 4,500 folks voting. So 50% of whoever votes has to vote for that. To change the covenants and restrictions, it requires 2/3, which is a whole different animal on it. But what's happening is they would have vote fails, right? They couldn't get dues increase. So now what the association can do, it can charge fees, right? So it can charge fees to offset the lack of capital. Is that making sense?
I'm with you.
So what they did is they created, I can't remember how many years ago. My God, it must have been 10, maybe 20 years ago. And Dan will know, a rental fee. So not only do I pay my normal due, so if you have your home in the subdivision that you live in, and if you want to rent it out, you don't pay an extra set of dues for that.
No,
right?
no.
Lake Monticello doesn't. I think it's $500.
How do they know? Your neighbor's going to drop a dime on you? That's how they find out?
Yeah, they'll know.
Neighbors drop dimes.
Yeah. So I'm going to really get myself into trouble.
Love when you do this.
So the ECC is
What's that?
The Environmental Control Committee, which is their ARB committee, which yada yada yada. They go out and check properties. I mean, they do that, and they look. It's eventually they'll figure it out. The path to it is, if you want a barcode.
That's how they figure it out.
Well, so you right. If you want
to get in the gates at Lake
you
Monticello.
want a barcode.
If you want some extra ones.
You got to produce a lease.
There it
is.
is.
On that stuff.
That's how they figure
and
it
if
out.
you don't use the barcode and you're going to go through the man gate at the front entrance or the remote gate at that, then you have to be called in as a guest.
There
right?
it
so
is.
It becomes this whole thing, right? So technically, that's how they figure it out.
So Dan Pettit highlights this, Jerry, with Villas at Southern Ridge versus Lake Monticello. You have more overhead and HOA fees with this second HOA at Lake Monticello that would erode margin. So, to your point, this is the viewers and listeners making us smarter here. You've identified
that happens regularly.
Yeah, right? You've identified.
I walk away from this show smarter every time.
Right, and I just learned something. You identified that the rent is 8 to 10% more at the Villas of Southern Ridge, Fifth
Yeah.
Street Extended, than Lake Monticello. And then Dan highlighted the second HOA fee.
Correct. And I don't know what you're due, so you have to do the math, right? Because you're
$1.65.
a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
What's
90,
yours?
it's roughly, it's 90 for the dues.
A month for you guys?
Yeah, for the,
So $1.65
Mrs.
times
Smith
12.
has that, but I'm pretty sure it's 90 bucks.
1980, 90 times 12 is 1,080. 1980 minus 1080. So Villas Southern Ridge is 900 more a year. And then Dan is saying the second HOA for renting
Which I
is,
believe is 500 bucks.
that's what he says. It's
Yeah.
$500. So minus 500 means the delta is 400 between. So Lake Monticello is 400 less a month, or
Yeah.
excuse me, 400 less per year
Correct,
in HOAs.
correct. But your rent's offsetting that.
Oh, more than.
Yeah, you're right. So
Yeah.
it
Offsets
and
it
when did
in
you buy
2
that?
months.
Roughly, I don't give me the exact number, but what year did you buy that again?
The worst time possible.
So
Pretty much 2008.
Yeah, so I didn't go back to 2008.
Yeah.
So I was looking at, but did you pay?
Dan, remember, Dan Pettit was in the sales office when I bought it. That's when I met Dan Pettit.
yeah.
It was Dan Pettit, Rick Spagoni, and Amanda Spagoni.
So was it over 150?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, now they're trading, it was,
So the purchase price would have been substantially less.
I got it in phase run. Remember Dan Pettit? Phase one at the Villas, there was going to be 5 phases of development. Bart Fry got people buying at phase one because it was $5,000 less in purchase than phase two. And then phase 3 was going to be $5K higher, phase 4, $5K higher. It was a marketing. But then
I wouldn't know anything how to do that.
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
but then you know what hit the fan?
Yeah.
So phase 1 became the highest price point of all the phases.
Yeah.
But now, Keith, it legitimately took 16 years to recoup the value. No, not 16. It took like 14 years to recoup the value. I got it at $1.80.
Yeah, but you're making my point.
Now
right?
they're $2.25, $2.30. This is your point.
You're making my point.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to buy now.
There it is.
Right. You know, there's always, you bought it when you bought it was nothing like what it is now, right? I mean, it's not even in the same universe. I'm trying to take a look real quickly.
Brittany's got a good point here, but the Villas
Brittany, you're
includes
making
the
us better
pool.
today.
She says the Villas includes the pool and the gym and the amenities. By the time at Lake Monticello, if you want to buy the pool pass,
Oh, yeah.
the pool pass is extra at the lake.
I got to tell you, I've been living there since 1987. I never bought a pool pass. I've actually probably been to the pool 5 times since 87. I just go swim at the lake.
Is the pool busy?
Oh, yeah, that's usually busy. Yeah, and they just redid it. I mean, the lake is pretty awesome right now. If we want to talk a little bit about that, they for quite a few years, all the amenities and the infrastructure was substantially lacking in quality, and they just haven't done anything. But they spent about $4 million updating everything. Brand new clubhouse, brand new pool, brand new pro shop. You know, they did brand new parks. They upgraded the whole facility, but for like decades, you probably never went to play golf over there when the old pro shop was there. It was literally built on stilts, and when people are in it, you can watch it move.
Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage.
Hey, Scott.
One of the best Ross Mortgage producers in the company of Ross Mortgage. In fact, Scott Morris, I'm going to give you some props right now. Ross Mortgage, Scott Morris.
Are you singing again?
September top producers. Scott Morris, one of the top producers at Ross Mortgage Corporation. Dude, you guys need a loan? Scotty Moe, Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage. I'm serious. I've seen the dude make miracles happen. Scotty Moe says this, Scott Mortgage Morris, Lake Monticello is in the best condition it has ever been right now.
Without doubt. That's the point I'm trying to make. The roads are done. We've got fireflies in the ground. They just connected it to my house yesterday. So I got firefly at the house. So I'm soon going to be burning 1,000 up, 1,000 down on it.
You got a new pro shop, clubhouse revamp, pool revamp.
Parks are redone.
Home values are going up.
So what year? I'm just going to look up if you would have bought in Lake Monticello. What month did you buy in?
I'm trying to do. Okay, let me see here. I spent 7 years living at Villas of Southern Ridge. 7 years Villa Southern Ridge, 7 years at Rockledge Drive in Redfields. That's 14 years. And we're now just did our second year in Glenmore. So that's 16 years. 2022 minus 16. So call it 2000, I think it was 2007. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2007.
So I'm going to take a look at what it cost a house. In
2007. Dan Pettit was in the sales office. Dan Pettit, what was phase one going for 2007 at the Villas at Southern Ridge? I believe I got it for, and I can look this up. DP, help me out here. 180. Rick Spagoni was negotiating a hard deal. Amanda Spagoni was negotiating a hard deal. Dan Pettit was negotiating a hard deal.
You were too, by the way.
I was. It was phase one, so they had a little leverage. This was before the you-know-what hit the fan. The you-know-what hit the fan about 7 months later, though. Literally, Keith.
So
I want to say 180,
so
180K.
So that's interesting. The median sales price in 2007 was $244,900. Call it $245,000.
Okay. Mine I got for $180.
Yeah, so you got it for less, right?
It didn't appreciate like the lake did. Now they're $225.
Yeah,
Now they're $225.
so if you would have bought that at $245,000, now keep in mind that was at the height of the market, right? And then we started that,
This is fun.
If I look at 2008, 2009, you'll see that $245,000 drop. So it went from 2007, so that you know, of $245,000 in 2012, $176,000. But if you would have bought that at $245,000 and held on to it now, you've got $317,000. So whatever the heck $317,000 from $245,000 is, and
I'm looking out GIS on Almar right now. 181,400 was my purchase price.
Yeah, that was just a flat out smart move. Flat out smart.
But dude, the lake appreciated more though.
Yeah, but you're looking, it appreciated more.
But you're saying the rent I could get from a profit standpoint, the rent was more.
So if you've got to look at, obviously you're going to look at an ROI and find out what your rent is and all that kind of. And oh, by the way, I'm sure you're capturing some income tax benefits.
Oh, no doubt.
From that,
100%.
which is helpful for that.
I also don't have the upkeep of the lake, standalone single-family detached home. You don't have the roof repair. You don't have the grass cutting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The landscaping. Now you take care of everything inside the villas, but you're not taking care of the exterior that's bundled into the HOA.
Yeah, but you also don't have a 1/3 of an acre lot.
Right. You also don't have that.
Yeah.
But is that as valuable when you're not living there? It certainly was valuable
what
when
you're going to do with it, right? In your case, it worked out perfect. And again, it's the point I've been trying to make, right? Everybody's different. When we're trying to do these case studies, which I love doing this, right? It's fun and helping folks on it, but everybody's different. Casey's different than Jerry, so forth and so on. The other folks, their circumstances are different. And what we bring to the table is we have to determine, okay, what's your circumstances and how we can help it. Brittany, right? Okay, Brittany's doing new construction sales for Stanley Martin Homes, right? So what, does that fit into what the buyer is trying to accomplish?
Scott Morris, if you're watching the program, Mad Moves Mountains with Ross Mortgage, I just tagged you in a post on my Facebook page with Gwendolyn, who's looking for a loan for some dirt, purchasing some dirt, some land in Greene County. So Scott, my Facebook page, comment section, tag you in a post with Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy, who's looking for some financing for some land in Greene County. You can take it from there, Scotty Mo.
So it's interesting. I happened to print out an article, same Inman, same group of folks, written October 9th. I printed it out a long time ago thinking this may come up, and what its title is, why is now still a great time to buy a house? And the highlights on it is many home prices are beginning to reduce everywhere. So now between October 9th and now, Inman is saying, look, Fannie Mae is saying prices are going to start coming down a little bit. Owning is always better than renting, and it's pretty obvious. We've been talking about that for a while. There's also this tax benefits of being a homeowner too. There's a benefit there because you get to write your interest off at the moment. And again, reading the rest of this article quickly.
Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy, condos have less depreciation versus homes.
Yeah. Yes and no, right? It depends on the market. I can tell you.
This is fun.
I can tell you that was not the case with Hessian Hills, and that was not the case with what's the one I always forget this. What's the one over by the railroad track across from?
Walker Square.
Walker Square. Thank you.
Yeah.
They
I speak Smith.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a lefty ADD thing.
That was funny.
And apparently lefties and ADD are funny too. Who knew that?
Charming guys, just charming guys.
What is it? Cosmopolitan. Apparently, I'm cosmopolitan too.
Judas laughing.
Right. I don't know. You got me a little excited because I'm riding a 65-mile bike race tomorrow up in Stanton or Staunton, depending on how you say it, to help raise money for Food Bank on it. And I'm going to carbo load tonight, and I may or may not have a cocktail before I carbo.
Oh, you need the cocktail.
I will have a cocktail.
Keep finishing your thought, because you were about to drop some knowledge.
No,
and knowledge is coming on the
I'm not
feed.
dropping knowledge. I'm just repeating what we've been talking about. It's just written. It's in articles, right? Refinancing will be an option within a few years, so that they're talking about, you're buying in now, right? So if I buy a home right now at 317 at Lake Monticello at 7% or whatever we are right now, and you're not going to sell it, probably in the next 2 years, you're going to start seeing 3%. I just going to retract that. Probably 5%, 4 to 5% in that range. I may be wrong, 6%. But if you're buying a 317 at say 7%, and you could pick up 2%, that's the time to refinance. That's kind of been the rule of thumb for a while. And the last item was, and this is why I'm a busy this next few. More houses are available with less stress, right? There's actually, you can actually negotiate. We can actually do what we love, which is negotiate. I personally love negotiating. It's my thing. That's my little.
I love negotiating.
That's my little. Adrenaline rush.
Oh, love it.
I love to negotiate. I love to help people get what they want.
KTP, Katie Pearl, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, Katie Pearl.
Comments coming in fast and furious. Jamie Turner, welcome to the show. Mayor of Gordonsville, repping the pep and call pepper, but real estate investor himself. Jamie, I responded to your comment of what I'm doing now from an investment standpoint with a link to what we're doing now. That's in the comments section. Brittany Gray's got some fantastic insight.
Hey, Brittany.
Wow, a lot of comments here. The Lake Monticello hit its appreciation when Village Oaks started its build out.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
I think if the comment is Village Oaks influenced the appreciation, I'm not so sure that's 100% correct. Not that I wish to ever disagree with Brittany on it. I think it was a timing thing, right? It was just when it came online versus what was available to buy. But yeah, it helped. New construction always helps. So let's talk about that for a second, right? Because Colonial Circle is about ready to come on. This is going to be a Stanley Martin Homes project. It's about 200 single-family attached and detached. Or these are townhomes and
go ahead.
Single. New construction always impacts existing, right? It either increases the value, right? It also helps free up market, helps free up inventory, because they'll find, Village Oaks is a prime example. Village Oaks is adjoining the Lake Monticello. If you take a look at the buyers in there, we've helped several buyers in it, they were lateral moves, right? They were moved from Lake Monticello to there, for the most part. It wasn't all of it, but there was a huge percentage of it. I'll see the same thing happen when we have this conversation 1 to 2 years from now at Colonial Circle. You'll see a large percentage of people, particularly the single-family detached units, will be moving. They just laterally move from that.
She says Village Oaks brought a surplus of Charlottesville and out-of-area buyers to the neighborhood. Sure. She also says, and this is a Stanley Martin rep on the feed, dropping knowledge here. She says at Spring Creek and Glenmore, where she's representing new construction in both, Stanley Martin is offering a tremendous amount of closing credits right now, just to keep up with interest and price hikes. $15,000 if it's closed before 2023. I have never seen this much in our industry, and this is for new construction.
But we had this conversation
On Wednesday.
I think it was Wednesday,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So you're gonna new construction's the right.
Brittany closing deals in the feed
There
right
you
here. I
go.
like it.
There you go. That's because she's a lefty. So yeah. So you're going to start seeing that come back. That's not in the time of great unpleasantness, right? And I'm not so sure Brittany was selling new construction at the time. I can assure you, the deals were much, the incentives were much higher than that. But you'll see that happen. So now is a great time to buy new construction, right? It's a great time to buy it because you can get you're not competing with a lot of folks for the most part. Depending on where you're at in the process, you can get to make your own selections, maybe not, depending on where the house is finished at that end of it, or if you're starting off new. But yeah, you're going to see incentives come up. I remember not too long ago, you get a finished basement, right? Like a $50,000 finished basement thrown in if you signed on and by a certain date and a certain time.
Good question from the mayor of Gordonsville. What happens, Keith, when a new development doesn't sell? There is a Richmond American project in Orange County that is just not moving. With the back to office push, there aren't any DC buyers moving down to Orange County to scoop up the new builds.
Yeah. Great question. Been there, done that. That lived through that with the time of great unpleasantness and that kind of thing. There's a technical things that'll go on. It depends on if they're financing it or if they're using cash to go ahead and do the development. Most likely they're financing it. One of the biggest struggles when we used to develop new projects and come in, and so the stuff that I did was mostly semi-custom and custom, so they were not a production. We never did production stuff, frankly, on that end of it. The first sales were always the hard sales because nobody wanted to be stuck in a
construction zone.
No, not that. Yes, there's always that.
Or an uncertain future of a project.
They don't want to be the first one in and the project not completed and
Right.
they're the only one in it, right? And
Like Phase 1, Villas of Southern Ridge, Jerry Miller.
yeah, on that end of it. Sit tight. The where matters. I don't know where this project is, right? Did you say Orange County?
Orange County.
Orange
yeah.
County? Yeah, I'm not an expert in Orange County by any stretch of the imagination. But my suspicion is it's probably at the end of the rubber band. Remember we were having this conversation when the O shift happened, right? The rubber band this time last year was super stretched out and it didn't matter where you were. That rubber band in our marketplace is kind of now pear-shaped. It's kind of wrapping around Albemarle County, Gordonsville, Fulvana, Nelson, and then and Greene County, and poking Louisa, and poking its way up into the other side of the mountain, kind of looking like a pear on the end of it, with the top of the pear being, Waynesboro and Augusta County. If you're outside of that rubber band, it's going to be difficult, I think.
Jamie says the sales office, look at Jamie Turner, hunt for deal. Dude, I like Jamie Turner's hustle and chutzpah. He says
I'm really curious on when he's done with that, what he ended up doing or thinking of doing with his Gordonsville property. But we're running out of time here.
We still got it. I'm
Okay.
enjoying this
Yeah,
tremendously.
cool. I'm good. I don't. My first meeting's 1:00. So.
He says the sales office at this particular new development in Orange County, they say all the previous buyers were DC and Nova buyers.
And walked.
Now it's completely crickets.
Yeah. So my suspicion. So it could be. It's interesting. I had this conversation with somebody else about our Deer County, Nelson County on it, and it was a professional in the trades in my industry. Are they starting to see, this hybrid, which we've been predicting long in the middle of the pandemic, that it'd be more of a half virtual, half in, depending on the job, of course, half virtual, half in person, and we're starting to see that. I can tell you on all the boards and commissions I sit on, which is becoming a problem. We're all back in person. You were one last night.
It was in person.
Right.
Yeah.
On that end of it, and it's impactful on how you can do. Again, support Neil Williamson.
Neil Williamson, President Free Enterprise Forum.
On that, because he'll attend all these virtually or in person. So my suspicion is rubber bands pulled back, rubber band pulled back here, rubber band pulled back in the DC. They probably, again, I don't know this, I'm just guessing at this point, they probably had contracts that fell apart in mid-builds. Been there, done that very much. By the way, I had several $750,000 houses built with buyers out of California that walked, never showed up for closing.
Gordonsville house update, Jamie Turner.
Yeah, cool.
Called a few demo companies to get quotes on the Gordonsville properties. Going to look at a few modulars down south because it's much cheaper.
Yep.
Looking at around $15,000 to demolition my investment house.
Sounds about
so
right.
I would love to get a controlled burn going for it to save a bit of money. If not, $15,000 is fine, I suppose.
So I've done great.
You've done controlled burns.
I've done quite a few of them.
Yeah.
That, obviously he's going to reach out to the local fire chief and fire department and go ahead and do that. The control burns I've did were in the middle of a field, right? But it was great. They love it. I think in a more urban, city environment, kind of what Gordonsville is, that they may have an issue with that. 15 grand's a good number for demoing that, by the way.
Kevin Yancey says, Jamie Turner, here's a tip. Offer the house to the fire department for training purposes.
Well, that's we're saying the same thing.
That's the control burn?
That's the control burn. We're saying
Okay.
all the same thing. You reach out to the fire department and say, look, we're going to go ahead and do that. They set it up. They burn it. They train folks to go in and out. I've done that about a dozen times.
How much does that cost?
Don't cost anything.
They do it free?
Yeah, they just show up and burn it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they show up and burn it.
Isn't that the way to go?
It is.
Did you know that, Judah? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just learned a second thing today.
Yeah, but again, the where matters, right?
Because you're saying a controlled burn in a neighborhood is a little more dangerous.
Yeah. So this was the development. There was always have some old structures on them or homes on them. You clear 150-foot radius around it. On that, there's trucks there. I mean, it's very methodical and safe. If you're in an area where there's, you're doing this building and an ember pops out and starts a house next door, that's not a good thing.
Controlled burns. Second thing I learned today. Free controlled burns. Asbestos. Neil Williams had put asbestos ? In the feed.
Yeah.
Said referring to the controlled burn.
Yeah. So you have to go through the building, right? You have to make sure there's no asbestos in it. If there is, you have to abate it.
So you can't do a controlled burn if there's asbestos.
No, you have to abate it. You have to remove the asbestos.
Before the controlled burn.
And that costs money.
Okay.
So what happens, you look at the building, you go through it, your engineers have gone through everything anyway, right? And if there's no asbestos, then it's good. But if there's asbestos, you got to remove it. Reminds me of a story. Did I ever tell you the story in Cape
No.
Charles? Yeah. It's had a 2006, 2007, I was doing some development down there, and I put a contract in on a medical facility that was sitting on 4 non-conforming lots. In other words, it was built in 1948 or 49. And I knew that there was a development going next door and the entrance was going through it, so I wanted to buy it, demolish it, and build 4 houses. That was the game plan. So you have to Neil's point, before you demo it, you have to do your environmental studies, right? So I had a company come in and do it. They actually sprayed on asbestos. You know those popcorn things you ever see on the ceiling? Well,
Oh, yeah.
It was all asbestos. I bought it for $300,000. Had a company come in and do it, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if I'm going to get myself into trouble here. So I probably will, actually. So anyway.
This lives on the internet forever.
Yeah, I know that. And I don't care. I've told this story
Okay.
before. So, but anyway, make a long story short, it was $300,000 just to remove the asbestos. So the person who helped me buy it never disclosed that there was asbestos in it. So I went back to the person who helped me buy it, and I said, look, here's the report. And the answer was, well, we've got a bunch of magnet workers around here. We can go ahead and get them to tear it out. And I said, no, you're not.
Oh my gosh.
So what's your solution? So anyway, make a long story short, this was crazy. She went and listed it, sold it to a guy out in Northern Virginia that wanted to develop it, said I'm having lunch with the guy, handed the report to him, and I said, look, I had it on the market for $600,000, and I said, here's the report. I want you to know what you're buying before you bought it. I'm disclosing all this stuff. And the guys, will you take $500,000? I said, yep. And we sold it. And the son of a bitch went and got got migrants to take it out, which I hate telling the story, but there's some unscrupulous people out there.
No doubt.
And they went and did it. And if you don't think I dropped a dime, you would be wrong.
You dropped a dime?
Oh shit!
Did anything happen?
Sure, he did.
What happened?
He got fined.
You got fined? What's the fine?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but he got fined.
Ballpark.
Like it was tens and tens. It was a lot of money.
It's a lot of money? Okay. That's what I was wondering. Is it a lot or a little bit?
It wasn't $5,000.
Okay.
It was substantial.
Substantial.
I dropped a dime on him. Pissed me off.
As it should. As it undoubtedly
Dropped
should.
a dime on him.
Um,
Or a quarter, whatever we're calling it.
dropped-
I know that was a bit of a bummer story.
Now it's dropped a silver dollar.
No, I just called. Use your phone.
It's a saying.
Yeah. So
Kevin wants us to do this, and Kevin, why don't we do this? We'll save this for Monday. Here's a Monday comment for you, our question, our topic for you. Kevin Yancey wants us to discuss that the banks, and J.P. Morgan is a good example of this. I'll tell you the J.P. Morgan story in a moment. Just for the sake of time, we'll save this for Monday. Kevin Yancey, King of Waynesboro. He says, do the banks hoarding cash to insulate against foreclosure spikes worry either of you? And he's referencing a report that hit the news cycle today. Obviously, Kevin Yancey's a well-read man. Kevin, you follow the news very closely. I have noticed that with the comments that you do. You are well-read. J.P. Morgan, let me see if I can find it. Jamie Dimon.
So the bottom line question is, are they? Yeah, because
No, it's a startling number, and we do have to go because we got our guest coming in soon. It's Mr. Bill Judah today on the show. Mr. Bill.
Oh no,
from
Mr.
Albemarle County
Bill.
Public Schools. Let's see. It's he's the guy who wrote the letter to the school board.
Oh really?
That retired.
I'm just doing an old Saturday Night Live skit memory.
J.P. Morgan is sitting on like trillions.
Yeah, a ton of cash.
Trillions of
Got
dollars.
it. Yeah.
Trillions of dollars.
And the premise of this is they're going to use that to buy back their.
Yancey, and it's not just Yancey. Other folks are saying this as well. Banks hoarding cash to insulate against foreclosure spikes. Does that worry you guys?
Yeah. So the short answer to that, and we can surely tackle it on Monday. I do, at the moment, as long as there is equity climbing the way we've been looking at it, on that end of it, that you will not see a foreclosure spike. There's an increase in foreclosures, that's for sure. But you're not going to see, like in 2010, there was 3 million foreclosures or some number very close to that. You're looking at 30, 40,000 nationwide that are either in the foreclosure process now or have been recently foreclosed on it. So it's not going to be that. What they're stacking that cash up on is for buybacks. But again, what they're going to do, if anybody is and I can't say this any clearer, if anybody feels like they can't make their payments, make a phone call to somebody
Immediately.
before you hit 31 days past due. Because after that, you start losing control very rapidly. Prior to that, you are in control. And you can say, look, reach out to the banks, reach out to your loan servicer on that stuff, reach out to Bill Tucker, who has a short sale and foreclosure department on that.
Love you, Bill Tucker.
That kind of thing, so they can start communicating with the banks, but start talking at that point. Because once you reach this 31 days and once it starts going through that, it gets on automatic. In the state of Virginia, it becomes very automatic. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, and the banks, guys, have reason to expedite the foreclosure process now because the real estate market is still somewhat hot, so they know that they can.
Well, they don't want to foreclose. They want to resolve before that.
They want to get it off their balance sheet.
They want to get off their balance sheet.
They don't want to own the property, and they know that they can sell the houses now. This is different than 08, 9, and 10, where the houses did not move.
Well, the point of I think the question of the concern about the dollar is because as anybody who understands this thing, they got to buy back their own asset.
Right.
And not only that, to buy back their own asset, they cost them money. It's about $50,000 on a residential transaction, about $50,000 plus or minus. So they're buying it back, whatever, $300,000 plus $50,000, plus it's on the effing books. Plus they got to have somebody to effing take care of it. So they really are motivated. I'm sorry. F&A, F&B, F&C.
That's what I was thinking about, too.
This was a joke, off-color joke I told before we went live, which we will not tell on live.
Nicholas and Brittany trying to close some deals in the comments. Nicholas Murphy, the CMO of Emergent Financial Services, said, I've seen my father change people's lives with one piece of advice, so talk to your financial advisor or find one. Sometimes little changes can have a big financial impact. Brittany Gray. Oh my gosh, please call me. I went through hell, but I did keep my home in one of the worst markets to do so. Gwendolyn Gail Cassidy in Italy. This has been a wonderful show as always. So great to see you guys again. Unfortunately, I have to get back to work. But this has been wonderful staying informed of Seville news and domestic news. She is in Italy.
Look at you, almost 6 o'clock at night.
Unbelievable. Worldwide. Great show.
As always, it's a great
Today
show.
was fun. It came in with no plan.
Literally just an article, and
An Inman article was the plan.
we are
One of the longest we've done.
yeah, man, look at that. Thank you for your time.
It was fun.
Judith, thank you for just being awesome. God, thank you for the voice of God.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Mr. Bill on the I Love Seville show on Friday, or today at 12:30. Mr. Bill,
Munkachi.
there we go.
Did you get the oh no, Mr. Bill reference from
Oh
Saturday
yeah.
Night Live?
Yeah. He made that. You made that reference, didn't you? They're one of the viewers.
I think
Okay,
one of the viewers.
you got to go. You got a show to do.
We do have a show to go. Puts a lot
Thank
of
you,
pressure on
guys.
Judy.
Yeah, it does. It does.
All right, thank you
On
guys.
God.
Real Talk with KeithSmith.com. All the shows archived there. The show is presented by Yes Realty Partners. Keith Smith and Jonas Smith's company, Yes Realty Partners. A division of Keller Williams Alliance?
Partners.
A partner.
Partners.
Keller Williams Alliance. Thank you kindly for joining us. Do not miss the I Love Seville show in 39 minutes. So long, everybody. Take care.
I wonder why his fingers are flying over there. Great show. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is fun. I got,